Hey everyone, I'm live here with Jenny Vaughn, and she is a Wichita area speech therapist, etc. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you.
So the first question I always ask is, what do you do and how do you help people?
Yeah, so another term for speech therapist is an SLP.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll refer to myself as that, but some people don't.
Speech language pathologist.
Extra bonus points for that. Yeah, so I'm a speech therapist, and I help people with communication needs, speech and language disorders. Right now I'm working around Wichita with people who have had a traumatic brain injury, and I help them. Sometimes we work on swallowing as well because that's impacted in the neck, and it affects people's ability to swallow and eat on their own. And then we also work with things such as aphasia and apraxia. Aphasia, a lot of people have heard recently about Bruce Willis having aphasia. Yeah. So that's just it impacts your ability to form language and speak and understand. It just depends on what kind of aphasia you have. And apraxia is a motor planning issue that people have. So it just depends on what's going on.
Yes. So
there's
ways.
All different things. That's one thing I love about speech pathology is it is all ages, and our scope of practice is pretty wide.
Yeah, so, always keeps you thinking like what the new problem is, and even I'm sure it's very different for each person, even if they have the same challenge.
Exactly,
right?
They've had the same
approach.
They have the same injury, but it impacts people differently. And then it also depends on what their living situation is. Do they have family members to help them? Are they on their own? Are they, do they have access to different resources in the community?
That's interesting. Well, and you have another new project that you're
working on. The preschool. Yeah. So I had this idea floating around. I've always wanted to do some kind of work with younger children, but also just with my work in the past year in the Wichita area is be able to provide resources and opportunities to kids in Wichita who maybe don't have access to things like literacy camps and all those summer programs that a lot of kids get to participate in. The Wichita Public Schools does a great job offering programs as well. So I applied for a grant, which was from the Wichita Collective Impact, which is a collaboration of Wichita Public Schools, the United Way, and the YMCA. So that's
great collaboration.
Yes, that's some really big organizations in this city. So I applied for a grant and I got it, and I'm working with just some of the cutest kids in Wichita come to my program. We're small, but we're going to make such a difference for these kids and their families just by offering these services.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's just been an honor to work with the kids. And also I have a great crew. I have 5 young women who I hired through the monies with the grant, who are working with these kids. So, that's also part of the outcome is, them being able to have a role in these kids' lives and hopefully understand what impact they're making on these kids' future.
Their life forever.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, can you give us a little bit about a background? I mean, you haven't always been like entrepreneurial, or have you?
Not really. So I graduated from KU in '94 and got married, and my husband was in the Army. So we were an Army family.
Moving around a lot.
Army wife for 17 years. And we lived in a lot of different places. You're there for 3 or 4 years. You have to instantly plug yourself into that situation, whatever is going on, however old your kids are at the time, you have to find those things. So, and then when he retired, we came back to Wichita, and I wanted to do something kind of in the medical field, but not necessarily nursing or, kind of those traditional roles. And I found speech therapy. So, of course, my sister, who is also at the Hive, Mandy Sykes, is definitely the entrepreneur of our family. She is always coming up with the coolest ideas. So,
well, and you guys are doing something fun together too.
Yes, we do the podcast. Yeah, kite flying.
Yeah.
And that has been so much fun just to get to have these conversations. Our family, my parents' house, we have this table, we sit there and we'll talk for hours with the family, and it's so nice. So it's pretty cool to capture some of those conversations that Mandy and I have.
I love that.
Because we're really far apart in age. We're in the same generation, but we're at the ends of those generations. So.
And that's kind of what your podcast is about, right? Like different generational perspectives.
Yeah. But, right. Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So what's the passion that really drives you in your speech and language work?
So my passion that really, got me through those initial doubts that I had about applying for this grant and, is this something I really can do? Just being with the people in Wichita, driving to these areas of Wichita that normally I wouldn't have gone to, and understanding that, they're just people. Like people are afraid to go to different parts of Wichita. They just have a bad rap, and there's people living there, people with little kids and people with medical needs, and they are just as much a part of our city as anywhere else. So I'm really good at standing up for other people, fighting those battles for other people. So that's kind of what has helped me get through this process and really fight for what I want to do.
That's awesome. Well, and I love that you didn't let the fact that you didn't have an LLC or a 501c3 yet stop you. I thought it was really creative how you made that work with the grant. Are you open to sharing that at all?
Sure. Well, initially I was able to reach out to people at the Hive. So that, I know that that's one of the questions later, but having the ability to go on my phone and say, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. I felt comfortable asking for that help and just putting that idea out there. So I think it was Corinna really got me started and kind of helping me understand how these non-for-profits work. And then I found out, the church was a not-for-profit automatically, as churches are. So I was able to present that idea to the church, and they were willing to be the nonprofit for that.
I love that. It makes me think about how as long as the location of where you're doing something is a 501c3,
right?
You doing it can, talk the location into apply, because they technically had to apply for the grant, or did you apply?
Yeah, it's the church applying for the grant. So
but you're helping them through it, and then they're helping in this big way,
right?
That they wouldn't have had the maybe time or energy to do, but I just love that. I just love that collaboration, and that because my first thought would be, oh, I've got to go through the whole process of developing a 501c3 just so I can apply for this grant. But I love how you were able to partner with an existing 501c3 and then still have that benefit.
Yeah. And that, kind of goes to their mission too, of just community outreach. So they were willing to collaborate with me on that. And I did actually, I learned a lot through that process, realizing they would have to be the accountants for the money. The money goes to them. So that staff member is taking on another bit of, work to be able to, write the checks and do all the tax forms. So that was a really great learning experience to see kind of how those impact the other
that is interesting.
Organizations.
Yeah, you could almost do a lunch and learn on that sometime. So what have been some of the biggest challenges or struggles that you faced along the way?
Well, really, and I've talked, just self-doubt, that imposter syndrome. Can I really do this? I'm not a preschool teacher. I've never run a preschool before. My kids have been to preschool, but that doesn't make me, an expert in that. But I did have to have confidence just in my knowledge as a speech therapist of the information I have about literacy and the foundations that kids need to be able to even learn how to read. Knowing the alphabet is such a small part of being ready for kindergarten, like kindergarten readiness. So I feel like I was able to kind of overcome that challenge.
Yeah, I love that. Well, so what really makes your approach unique? What sets you apart from other speech therapists?
From other speech therapists, definitely my age.
Really?
And so I say that because I did not come into this field until my 40s. So most of the students were could have been my kids. So I'm a fairly new speech therapist, yet I'm older, so I have more worldly experience, you could say. So I feel like that, kind of makes me unique in our field.
Yeah. So you're still like excited and passionate because it's new to you, but yeah, you have, like you said, all that experience to bring to the table.
And I went to, I have access to some of the newer ideas, and speech therapists 20 years ago were not practicing the same as they are now.
Yeah, that is kind of a unique.
And if you are a speech therapist and you've been in the same job for, 20 some years, you're still using some of those initial things that you taught, not because you don't care, but because you're busy working.
Yeah, you haven't been pushed to go back to school and learn the new things.
Right. So I think that kind of gives me a unique perspective.
That is interesting. It makes me think about like my prior career as a teacher. Like, if there was a brand new teacher that was older, it would have a different, like very different dynamic, because they would have the newer information, because most of the older teachers, just were teaching old school ways.
Just doing enough to renew their
license.
Get those points in there.
Yeah, interesting. Well, okay, you are a mom and a wife and all these other things that you have going on in your life. So what does your work-life alignment look like?
Yeah, so I love you said alignment. It's changed a lot. I think just even in the last, I'm 51 now, in the last 3 or 4 years, I've really found a way to put aside those guilty things, like, I can't do this because I have to, do X, Y, Z. So I've really been able to lean in, and, my kids are older now. I don't have little kids at home. I think my mindset as my kids were growing up, there was a certain time, okay, I'm the mom that's going to be helping in the classroom. I'm doing this. There's going to be a time when I don't have to do that. This time in my life is not going to last forever. So there's going to be a time that comes when I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to participate in that. I don't want to take away someone's opportunity to participate.
I love that.
I don't need to do everything. Yeah. If I am stepping up and, saying yes to everything, that means someone else doesn't get to get asked to do it. Even.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to look at it, because I think a lot of women struggle with that. They see it just from that perspective of like, that they should be doing this, but I like how you flipped it and kind of said, well, what happens if I don't? It gives an opportunity for somebody else.
Exactly. And they may need to be asked. And I would say too, in my 30s and 40s, I got really good at just kind of pushing down my stress and saying, oh, I'm not stressed. I don't have any stress. And then, you start to have health issues.
It builds up over time. It's in your body. You carry it in your body.
Exactly. And then I, end of my 40s, I was like, maybe I am stressed out. Maybe I do need to take more time for myself, not take more time, but make myself a priority.
Yeah.
What I'm doing. So
absolutely. Well, I mean, I think this, we talk about generations, right? Like I'm a millennial. And so I think this generation, we're kind of seeing like how a lot of our parents, martyr themselves, right? Mothers especially. And we're kind of in this idea of, I'm no good to anybody unless I take care of myself first. Right? If I take care of, fill your own cup so you can pour from it. Right. And then I watch this next generation, like the Gen Z, and they're just like, why would I have to take care of someone else? I just take care of myself. It's almost like to the extremes. It's kind of funny. I mean, they're still going to take care of their families and stuff like that, but they don't have that guilt that we have. Like my mom's a baby boomer, right? And so it was just deeply instilled in me that like, we have to take care of everyone.
Yeah.
Right. And the guys get to just sit there and watch TV, and like the women folk are like going around doing everything for everybody. Yeah. Right. So I just think that's cool to see that evolution sometimes of.
Well, just being aware of how those social pressures affect us, even if we think we're not, we're like, oh, we just like to do this. Yeah. It's so subliminal.
It really is. Well, you almost said it earlier. You started on it a little bit, but how has the Hive helped you personally and professionally?
Yeah. So first of all, coming through that door, I hear that click on that door and my mindset is just whoop, like the mental load just is gone. I get so much work done here, Andrea. I come here and I can just focus and get my stuff done.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. It's like Pavlovian. I get like you hear the click.
Like, I do. Like I have my phone ready and I'm like, and I hear that door, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to get so much done today.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's one reason I've always wanted, I saw those offices and I was like, I really want an office. I need some place to, where I
like
can
leave
really
the
get it. Yes.
and spread it all out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I texted you and I was like, Mandy, we need to, let's think about doing this. And we did it.
Yeah. So you and your sister were both co-working members and you upgraded to a private office and now your daughter's a member too.
Yes.
So it's been fun to see.
For the summer she needs, and that was kind of like, she comes home and she leaves a mess on the table. So I had like other ideas. I was like
training her to clean it up, which she's done.
Yes. Maybe you should join the hive. Then you can
she'll get in the habit of it.
Yes.
She'll be like, oh, I'm so used to picking up all my stuff.
Yes.
Maybe she'll do it at home.
Yeah. Well, she's home for the summer. So yeah, it's just been amazing all around.
Aww.
Just the support and the ability to really focus and come up with new ideas and brainstorm and do the podcast. It's been awesome.
Well, we love having you here.
Thank you.
Well, what insight might you give to somebody who's at the beginning of their journey, no matter where they are in life?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Like,
I mean, maybe like since you were able to start later in life, to maybe not be afraid that, like, I think a lot of people would think, oh, my husband's retiring from the military. Like, this is, maybe is it too late for me to get into another career?
That's
right?
a good point. Yeah.
And so you didn't have that fear, or you maybe did, late. And you did anyway.
I had the fear the first day when I had my little backpack. I was going to my first class. I was like, I don't know if my brain can do this. But yeah, it's never too late to try something new. And I think just to stand up for yourself and for the things that you want to do. Don't let those kind of obligations that you feel like you have stop you from doing what you're passionate about. Because that can really, you can make a lot of excuses for yourself to not do things.
Absolutely.
So, and you might just have to let some stuff go.
Yeah, like, it's not different seasons of life. It's not going to be perfect all the time. Yeah,
right. You just have to. Okay, the dishes are going to be dirty tonight. That's just, I'm just too tired. Like I'm going to go to bed. Yeah. I need my sleep.
Yeah.
So
that's important. Yeah. Well, so how can the bees help you, and anything you have coming up we need to know about?
I've got my second session of my preschool for July, so I'm excited to get to that. We've got a few more kids joining us. And then after that, I'm just going to start brainstorming for next summer and figure out kind of where I want to go with this program.
And what's the name of the preschool?
I'm calling it the Midtown Summer Book Series.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
So I've kind of reverted to this preschool idea because Midtown Summer Book Series doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I've named it Midtown because that's where it takes place. And looking towards the future, I would like to have it be kind of like a pop-up thing where we can have places in different areas of Wichita.
And how long are your sessions?
It goes from 9 to 11:30, so just 2.5 hours.
And then you do it for how many weeks?
We do it for 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
So we had 2 sessions,
awesome.
But that might be adjusted a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and maybe start a little bit later because we started right after school got out. It was a little early.
Yeah,
but
give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah. So I think the Hive could help me just with some networking, people in different areas of the city. I know we've got the mastermind coming up. I'm excited to hear about what the Girls United, what she has to say, and how we can really get those opportunities to people all over the city.
Yeah. Yeah, we have another member, Dana McCall, who started a program. It's a nonprofit called Read Bro.
Oh, okay.
And it's all about, like, she's focusing on helping, like, Black boys especially, like, learn how to read and get excited about it and make it fun. She says she likes to hide the learning in fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
that's kind of my preschool.
So I'll have to connect you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today,
Andrea.
Jenny.
Thanks.